Alright, bit of a late start, and also why am I so loud? I'm having so many technical issues with my new thing. If I'm too loud, just let me know. I don't know why it's sounding so awful as well. Let me do my checks. Let me pause that. I need to get my chat out. I really haven't, I haven't got, what's the word? I haven't got the stream 100% set up yet. That was one of the like low priority things on my list of things that I needed to do. In terms of, um, basically, when I was translating like half of my files over, half the stuff which I wanted to bring over did not come over, and I had to recreate. You probably noticed from the preview that I was a little bit different to what I would usually do. I'm using new editing software. I'm using um, just a new kind of a few new ideas because I was limited on what I used to have. Um, Luckily, I was able to get like player pictures and stuff like that, but everything's a bit sus. And hopefully the chat is now actually working on stream. I'm not sure if it is. Welcome in, welcome in. As I said, just let me know if the audio is horrible. I don't know what my mic level is at because I haven't fixed that yet. And so on and so forth. So likewise, you can probably tell there's no music in the background. Haven't sorted that out. And there's not going to be intro outro either because I lost those two videos on the transfer, so I'm gonna have to recreate those. But yeah, I think I'm also a little bit a little bit late. But enough about that. Enough about our troubles in terms of technological difficulties. Let's talk about our let's talk about Chelsea versus Leicester, shall we? Um, I am. Am I late? Am I early? I don't know. Hang on. Let me. When did I? Because I don't actually really like. I always say like, oh, I'm live in 30, but I don't actually like. I don't actually time it. I kind of just guess. Um, so hang on. When did I? When did I put that? When did I put that post out? On the community tab. Let me see. Doodly doo. Oh no, I'm on time. I'm fashionably on time as I posted that 31 minutes ago. There we go. And now the Discord's popping off. There we go. So that's that's kind of that's kind of indicative. Right, let's move on to the screen. I told you this is going to be really scuffed. I do have my background still. I had to recreate this, so that's fun. But it is here. I'm still not feeling particularly great. It's very cold over here, very windy in the east of England. If you can hear the wind in the background, excuse that. I apologise. I can't really do anything about the weather. But yeah, Leicester versus Chelsea. This was a little bit less. A little bit. It's weird. It was comfortable as I kind of expected, but a little bit less comfortable at times than I anticipated. I thought this would be quite a dominant performance, and it ended up being that way. But it was still quite nervy at times, and I feel like we should have got way more goals than we ended up getting, and been a lot more productive than we ended up being. However, I'm going to be quite positive today. I don't really have anything that I want to talk about that is negative, other than some certain decisions that kind of went against us, and in general, I don't think the some of the decisions that we had were particularly good. Hang on, let me just take a sip of my drink. All right, my throat is really bad. I apologize. My chat has gone away again. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Like you've just said, I feel like we should have been a lot more clinical in this one. I think that we could have had at least 3 or 4. And in fact, I need to drag a certain player into a position here because I'm going to be using them. Why has this dragged itself up? There we go. That should be fine. Cool. All right. Welcome back to Feeling Blue. Now, as usual, I'm going to have 7 points here of things that I'm going to be talking about. I think we'll start with a few goods, then we'll go over to the bads. I've got one thing for medium, and then we'll finish off with a good. I think the first player that we should start off with is the player that started us off in the first place, Nicolas Jackson, because again, another goal for him, and it's getting to the point where I keep saying this, that I have stuck by this man since before we signed him. I've always been a big believer in him, and I'm glad that it's now kind of, we're at the stage where a lot of our fan base is kind of feeling the same way in terms of we don't need to get another striker. I think he's perfectly fine to be our leading striker now, and I think it's going to save us a lot of money on potential recruits that are going to cost a lot of money. I think genuinely the only striker in world football at the moment that's available and an improvement would genuinely be Gyökeres, but he's not even really proven in any league or anything. Obviously, he came from he was playing for Coventry and he didn't do particularly well there. He's gone out to Portugal and has done very, very well. But apart from that, I don't see that there being anyone that really anyone that could really supersede Jackson. And I think he's getting to the point where he's now getting so many regular goal contributions that it just feels right for him to just be getting in the good box every week. And it's not just his goals, because obviously he gets goals, he gets assists, and that's what I'm commending him for. The one thing I always say is his best attribute is his tenacity, and the fact that he doesn't give up on things, and the fact that he is a bit of a pit bull and kind of runs at people, puts people off, is full of energy, has really, really good stamina. And his first goal that he scores in this game, I say first like he scored two, our first goal, his goal in this game was a good example of that tenacity, right? Completely battling with Wout Fass, knocking it on 3 times, gets a nice little pass from Enzo, and then not only does he have the tenacity to keep going and try and get the ball, but the touch that he takes to take it away from Fass, and then the second touch to put it in, the finish, is absolutely sublime. And again, I genuinely think he is the best, apart from Haaland, I think he's the best striker in the league. I genuinely can't. There is no one above him. I don't think even. Obviously, a lot of people will talk about Alexander Isak. I think he's better than Alexander Isak. I think genuinely in current form, I think he's better than Haaland. But we know how good Haaland is as a pure striker, as a pure finisher, and Jackson isn't at that level yet. But as an all-round forward and as an all-round centre forward, as I would like to refer him to, because he's not. I don't really say he is a striker. He is more of a centre forward because he gets involved in the build-up a lot more. I think he's the best one in the league. He just is, and it's just we see this and again, maybe the quality of the opposition isn't the greatest, but he does this against a lot of good teams too. He always causes problems for backlines, and as long as he's scoring, as long as he's getting on the score sheet and getting goal contributions, he'll always get in this box for me. Yeah, I do agree. I think that's his only bad quality that he has is his and again, this comes from him being a young player. A lot of our entire team is young and inexperienced, and they make a lot of mistakes. And I think that he is one of the ones that does this, where he just gets unnecessary yellow cards all the time. He didn't get one in this game, which is nice. I was sure, considering how scrappy the game was getting in the middle part, that he was going to get booked, and somehow he didn't, so that's good. Let's talk about... I don't know who I want to talk about. Let's talk about I've got a lot of I said I've got a lot of players in the goods. I think I'm going to talk about a player that I don't think a lot of you guys would have. This is crazy. I was about to say I don't think a lot of you guys would mention, but someone has actually just mentioned him in chat, and it's Badiashile. I think all of our centre backs today were really, really good. I think Fofana on that right hand side, playing as that kind of faux right back, I think he was pretty good, getting into challenges, rushing up the pitch and kind of progressing us forward. I think Colwell obviously was doing decent in that kind of central role and helping dictate play, but Badiashile was the pick of the bunch in my opinion. I've said this before, he is so confusing because one game he is absolutely superb like this, and then the next he just doesn't know how to play football. It's really funny, but this was one of the good times and one of the times where he was what we like to refer to as a Rolls Royce of a defender. And it wasn't just the comfortable defending that he did. Of basically anytime the ball went down that left channel and he was tasked with running down the line and sealing out the defender or the attacker or clearing the ball, he did that perfectly well. But the thing was that was very, very impressive to me was his passing, right? We always talk about the main issue that we get when we play these low block sides, and I'm mainly referring to the first half because it was more apparent in the first half than in the second when Leicester came out a little bit more. When we play against these low block sides, you really need that first initial pass from your backline to your midfield, or bypassing the midfield to your forwards. You need that to be incisive, that you need that to be accurate, and you need it to be able to catch out the defenders, right? And he did that so many times in this game. I don't actually have the stats on me, but I genuinely think he must have had probably the highest forward passing stats in the entire team, because he was always the one to progress the ball forward. And yeah, just a really good solid performance from him, and it's good to see him in a good a good kind of run of form, because this has been a couple of games now in a row where he's been actually pretty decent, and long may it continue, because we do not need to be spending more money on centre backs. That's pretty much it. Oh my god! So I've seen I've seen this, right? You know, we had a stream. There we go. Let's zoom this out. We had a stream a while ago where my camera randomly flipped upside down, and and I said, I don't know why it's doing that, and I just turned the camera off, and that's the reason why why I've been camless for a long time. I've noticed that this I do have a control for it, but this new webcam that I've bought randomly just flips and zooms in and stuff all the time for no reason. I have no clue why. If it happens again, just let me know. I'll fix it. But there we go. But yeah, Badiashile back to his best. And yeah, long may it continue. Let's move to something a little bit less positive. And maybe I'm being harsh here, and I always do like to be objective, and I don't like to rag on players, but like, I'm gonna be a little bit harsh here, and I'm gonna be putting Cole Palmer in the medium box, because, and again, maybe this is a bit harsh, and I'm judging him because his standard is so high, and when he doesn't have the best game, it makes it look much worse. But it's been a few games in a row now where he's gone completely missing, and yes, I give him the caveat, and the reason why I'm not putting him bad is I'm giving him the caveat of, yes, he was being hacked every 5 seconds, yes, he was playing slightly out of position because he was playing a bit more as a kind of forward than in the 10 or on the right side of 10. And yes, he was playing in a team that didn't have the same front line that he's used to, but I do think that he just wasn't on the ball today. And I think genuinely, I have the stats up. Let me get his stats up for a second. He was one of the worst rated players in the team, and this, again, I'm being very harsh because my standards for him are so high, and obviously he could have had a goal if Madueke didn't accidentally save his shot off the line. But the rest of his stats, to me, just, this is not a typical Cole Palmer performance. He has only 60 touches in the game, which is a lot less than he would usually have. He usually has about 80 to 90. He only had 83% of his passes were accurate, which is, again, very unlike him. He has 0 accurate crosses out of his 6 that he produced, which is all from, I think they're pretty much all from corners, which is, again, a problem that we've kind of seen from Palmer, is that his delivery from corners aren't great. He had 2 dribble attempts and neither of them were successful. He had 1 big chance missed, obviously. And yeah, again, he lost possession 19 times. And again, I know the losing possession thing I'm not going to be too harsh on him for, because that's because he's trying to be inventive and trying to play the pass forward. And again, same thing with his passing accuracy, but it's just a bit concerning because we were giving him the benefit of the doubt over the last few games because we were playing very good teams. We were playing Arsenal, obviously, we were playing Liverpool, but this is Leicester City. This is not a good team, and I genuinely expected him to do a lot better than he was doing. And the main thing for me why I've put him here is because all the other attackers in the lineup today, Joao Felix, Jackson, Madueke on the right hand side, they all had like way more of an impact on the game than he did. And again, maybe that's because he's being man marked and because he is so much of a danger man that people know how to deal with him now. But it is just, again, it's just a little bit of worrying signs. I think he'll probably be back to his best next game, but again, that's why I've only put him in the medium, not the bad. Let's talk about something that is bad. Gold star for anyone that can guess what's going in here, because I talk about it every week. Here we go. Let's go. I might just make this its own section. I might just make this its own section. The monos rant on the referees for this week. Yeah, because this game was just horrific. Again, it's utterly abysmal, the standard of refereeing in this country. It is so bad. We've got all this stuff coming out with David Coote. We've got players being genuinely, like, severely tackled and not getting red cards. How indeed he stayed on the pitch, I have absolutely no idea. It's a horrific challenge. Nowhere near the ball. No attempt to get the ball. It's a studs up, high on the leg, scraping down the Achilles, and somehow he's gotten away with the yellow. He makes about 3 more fouls after this. Doesn't get a second yellow. Completely atrocious. I think Samare could have gone off as well. His challenge is less of a red than I would say than Ndidi's is, but I still think it's a red card. It's completely out of control. It's with way too much force. And literally 10 seconds before this tackle from Samare, he hacks down another player. So it's like, well, are you going to stop him? Like, please stop him. And I have said this in the past. The reason why I'm so agitated about these refereeing decisions, the main one for me, is not because of the way that it affects the game and the way that we have to get VAR involved. It's because the main job of a referee is, and this is something I've done a lot of kind of research in, because it's a field that I would personally have loved to have done. Your main job as a referee is to protect the players from foul challenges. It's the reason why you caution people. It's the reason why you send people off. It's to teach the players on the pitch that they're not allowed to do things because they're dangerous. And it's just, that tackle that happened on Palmer from Ndidi, he could have snapped his ankle in half from the back there. He could, if his foot was planted more, it could have broken his leg, and it's just horrific. It's so bad when you get a player, the quality of Cole Palmer, and this is the reason why I've put him in the medium box, because I feel like it's so much of a big caveat, is because how badly he's being treated in these games and being hacked down. He's getting the Eden Hazard treatment. You have to protect players. You have to, because if they're just allowed to do this and they don't get severe punishments for it, eventually it's going to end up with a horror tackle with someone getting a leg break, and that can be career ending. And it's not just these challenges, because these challenges were bad. There were others that I think were completely silly. I think there's one where Cucurella gets a foul for pushing someone in the back where he hasn't pushed him in the back. There's the foul on Colwill in the box, which is for some reason given as a retaken corner, even though the corner had been taken and the whistle had already blown for the corner. That's a weird one. I think both of the refereeing decisions for the penalties were pretty, I don't know, the hit and miss, man. The one, let's talk about the two potential penalty decisions for Leicester. I think because I do want to be fair here. I think the first one, that's not given, I think is definitely not a pen. I think it's an atrocity that it's taken so long for VAR to not clear that, because it's literally just a coming together between two players. Mavididi runs into a player that's not even looking at him, and he falls over. Definitely not a foul. The second one is given. I have more of an issue with the second one because it's given. This is never a penalty. Like, never. Never. Firstly, the thing which I want to say about this, the reason why I don't think this is a pen, is because if you actually look at the body, I feel like when you're judging decisions, you need to look at the body language of players. Lavia, who has committed the foul, and gets a yellow card for this as well, has absolutely no intention of making a challenge for the ball. He is just running back to try and run back, and they get a slight tangle of legs and the player falls over. It's like, I understand if he's gone and tried to reach for the ball and tripped him over, that's fine, but he hasn't. He's literally just running, and their legs have hit each other and he's fallen over. Not only that, but the player that goes down trips himself over. I don't actually know who it was. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Jordan Ayew, maybe, I'm not sure. He trips himself over. If you watch the replay, he literally trips himself over. His own legs hit into his legs and he falls over. And it's just like, what? It's just stupid. I understand if this was a challenge where Lavia had tried to tackle him from behind, or had stuck out a leg, or made an attempt to play the ball, which is what they like to the term. Was it Bobby D Cordova-Reid? Okay. Um, if he'd made an attempt to actually play the ball and make a challenge, I understand this because yeah, the legs collide and he goes down, and he doesn't get any of the ball. But he hasn't. He's just running backwards, and they've collided. It's just a collision. It's nothing, and it's so silly that we lose a clean sheet today because of it. And maybe Sanchez should be doing better from the penalty. He gets a hand to it. It doesn't go. He doesn't save it. I'm not going to put too much blame on him because a penalty is basically just a coin toss whether you get it or don't. So no harm there. But it's annoying that we don't get a clean sheet because I was thinking this whole game. I was thinking, you know what, this will be a good time for us to finally get a clean sheet because the defenders today, Badiashile, Fofana, Colwill, and a man who I'm going to be putting in the good box, who I think genuinely was the best defender on the pitch today, Marc Cucurella. And we'll talk about him in a little bit. They all deserved a clean sheet today. They really did. They put in the shift and they actually defended and gave us the platform to not only get our goals but just to be solid. And we kind of get that taken away from us with just an absolutely nonsensical penalty decision. And then we get like 2 minutes of extra added time for no reason. We get a card for Sanchez for time wasting when he literally was just passing the ball back to someone. It's just, I don't know, man. It's just silly. I think it's silly anyway. Regardless, we still win the game, so I don't really mind that much. And as someone said earlier, I'm pretty sure that the that penalty was like their only shot on target. I joked about this on Twitter. Leicester legitimately had more chance about Wesley Fofana than they had shots on target in this game, which I think is really, really funny. But yeah, let's talk about Cucurella because I have put him in here. Can we quietly open the conversation that he might be the best left back in the league? At least on current form. Not on overall quality, but in current form, I genuinely think there is no one that touches Marc Cucurella. He has gone crazy ever since he had that resurgence being put back into the team by Mauricio Pochettino. He's just been insane. I don't know what they fed him. I don't know what they fed him. He's everywhere, and it's crazy to me because like you know what it reminds me of. This is really funny. When we first signed Cucurella, and he had like the first 2 games that he ever played for us, he was electric. He was everywhere. He was bombing up and down the pitch. He was putting in the tackles. He was playing with his heart on his sleeve. And we saw that for 2 games and then didn't see it ever again. And yeah, Gvardiol. The thing is though, Gvardiol I feel like is a weird one because he's not really a left back. He's kind of like a centre back left back hybrid. So like I'm talking about like pure left backs. Like, if we're talking about, like, a pure... Because, again, you could say, like, Ricardo Calafiori as one of those players where he's actually a centre-back, so I'm not sure if you would call him a left-back. If you're talking about pure left-backs, like your Andrew Robertsons, that type of left-back, I think Cucurella is the best one in the league, in terms of current form. But Gvardiol is a fantastic shout, because he's been doing really, really well. Especially last month. He was really, really good last month. But yeah, again, he's just another performance from Cucurella where he's just snapping into every single tackle. He's aggressive. He's winning the ball back. He's winning all of his duels. He's completely shutting down the right winger and even providing up in the top end of the pitch as well. And it was a bit of a different role for him today because he wasn't doing the inverted thing. Neither him or Fofana was doing the inverted thing. We were actually playing... Instead of the kind of 3-3-4 that we kind of play, or the 3-4-3 that we usually play with an inverted midfielder, we were actually playing a bit more of like a 3-5-2, and with him playing as like an actual left wing back, and it suited him so well because he was able to just put himself about. And it's not just the defensive contributions, which I think he was really, really good defensively, but it's his pass and his just slight bit of kind of incisiveness in the final third that gets us our second goal. He plays an absolutely stellar ball into Jackson, and Jackson should be scoring this. Admittedly, it's a really, really, really good ball from Cuckoo, and Jackson's header goes straight at the goalkeeper. But because it's so good, the delivery is so good, the power on the header is so good, the goalkeeper spills it and gets the goal for Enzo Fernandez. And yeah, just again, he's another solid performance. I'm actually gonna let me see how was he rated in terms of the backline, because I think he was the best one in our backline. Other than Benoit Badiashile, he was the highest rated player in the back line, so that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense for me. Let's talk about the sixth point now, and it's going to be for Mr. Joao Felix. And I'm impressed with him for multiple reasons in this game. Not just because I think he was being his usual kind of flary, creative self, but the thing which I really want to talk about him for today is that he shut up a lot of the haters today when it comes to talking about his work rate, talking about the fact that he doesn't put himself about, talking about the fact that he's lazy. There's so many people that always say that Felix is a bit lazy, and I've been I will admit I've been one of those players that kind of says that he is a bit lazy at times. Today was not one of those times. He was everywhere. And he was always trying to get onto the ball. He was being the man that was going to receive the pass, get on the half turn, try and progress us forward when Palmer wasn't dropping deep and doing that himself. And yeah, again, it's just one of those things where I commend him because he probably wasn't expecting to play, considering we had late withdrawals from the squad due to injury and to illness with Gusto and Joao. Joao. I was about to say Joao Pedro Neto rather. With them withdrawing from the squad, he probably wasn't expecting to play until quite like maybe a few days before the game. So for him to come in and put in such a good performance is quite commendable because we always say that with the depth that we have, and the quality that we have on the bench and the quality that we have in the Europa Conference League when we rotate our entire team around, that any one of these players should be able to push into the starting 11 for the Premier League and actually fill that hole and don't feel like we've left a gap there. And it's something we always talk about when we talk about how good Manchester City have been in the last few years, is that their squad depth in terms of they can bring on a player from the bench and it doesn't feel like they've replaced anyone. It doesn't feel like anything's like changed. That's something we need to strive for. And obviously now we have basically two starting 11s. It's good to see that our replacement for players when they are injured can just come in and put in such a good performance. And I think again he was one of our better attackers, despite I don't think he actually got a goal contribution in this game, but he was creating chances for fun, and hopefully he can actually get more game time in the Premier League because he's obviously got a lot more to give, and I think he's really growing into this role now he's here on a permanent. And let's talk about the final player. Another good, and I think you guys can tell who this is going to be. He's on the thumbnail, he's on the score sheet, he's on the assist sheet. It's Enzo Fernandez. What have they done to this man? What happened? He's just suddenly in the last few weeks just become an absolute world beater again. It's weird. For club and country, he has just been racking up the goal contributions, influencing games, creating the chances. I think over the there's a crazy stat. I think it's like over the last like 5 games, he's got like I think it's 4 assists for us now, and then 4 assists for us and a goal, and then I think he got 1, maybe 2 assists for Argentina. Yeah, and I think this is good, right? Because there's a lot of kind of competitions for places specifically in the midfield. We have so many midfielders. We obviously have Lavia, Caicedo, Fernandez, we have Cassidy, we have Carney, we have Kieran Dewsbury Hall. So many midfielders. And obviously Ugochukwu, who's out on loan. We have a lot of midfielders in our team. And I think that Fernandez really had a moment of kind of, I've been dropped to the bench. I'm going to work on my game. I'm going to sort myself out. And obviously he's had some off-field things which have probably impacted his game mentally, because obviously though the separation from his partner is something that usually would be an emotional toll. Sometimes if it's amicable, like it seems to have been, that could be a real weight off of someone's shoulders mentally, and you never know what people are dealing with mentally when we always talk about footballers like they're robots, but they're not. They're human beings, and I think he's really gotten past a mental block, and now that is behind him and he's like, cool, I'm moving on to this new part of my life. He suddenly just turned into the Enzo Fernandez that we bought for 100 million or odd amount of pounds back in the day. Like he's back to that player who's kind of dictating play. And I think this particular system that we played today, where he was a little bit deeper and wasn't tasked with getting really, really high, he was still getting high because that's kind of the way he plays as an 8 nowadays. I don't think we're ever going to see Enzo play as that, like, Jorginho 5 regista role anymore. I don't think we're ever going to see that, unless we're really, really struggling for injuries and stuff and he has to play there instead of Caicedo. But he was able to get deep and dictate play. He was able to kind of play the one-touch passes to get us going. And the thing which I always like to see from him, and we saw this a lot in this game because of how much Madueke got on the ball, and I haven't put Madueke in one of these boxes because I don't think he had a particularly notable game. I think he had a pretty standard game for him. It's the way that he always is the one that can spot that pass to play it out wide and get us going, and especially against tight defenses like we saw against Leicester, it's so important for our team to be able to have that kind of swift passing across the pitch. Sorry, I just bumped my mic. That swift passing across the pitch to shift around the defenders and create those gaps. And obviously, he always gets the pass out to Madueke, who can then run at his opponents. But yeah, we have got another 3 points today. We're still in third as it stands. I think we obviously are tied for points on with the teams below us, so I think they have to particularly get a lot of goals. Arsenal are currently beating Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa are down to Palace though, so that's fun. Let me actually check the table. Let's check the live table. Yeah, so currently Brighton are now up to 5th as well. Forest obviously are losing, so they're not going to be on the same amount of points. Villa are obviously losing, so they're not going to be on the same amount of points. But yeah, we could finish the day on third as long as Arsenal don't score another 3 goals, which would be absolutely wonderful. And yeah, if Forest and Arsenal could draw, that would be superb for us, and we can get some daylight at the end of at the upper echelons of the table. Now, I believe our final game. In fact, actually, before I check our final game, let's actually put the poll up, so you guys can vote for your true blue. How do I do this again? It's been a while. Poll. Here we go. True blue. You guys can vote for your true blue. I think this is a little bit obvious, maybe. In my mind, it's obvious. I think actually, I say that. I think it's a toss-up between 2 players in terms of who I would say is our man of the match. I'm going to put in I don't know whether to put in Jackson or I'm going to put Jackson in. No, I'm going to put, you know what, I'm going to put Joao Felix in just because I don't think he will get the opportunity very often to be in one of these polls, so there we go. Have I misspelled anyone's name? I don't think so. There we go. Barring accents and stuff. There we go. I'll let you guys vote for the poll whilst I look for the excuse me, for the next fixtures. I'm pretty sure our next game is against Heidenheim in the Europa League. Yeah, it is. So Thursday, the 28th of November at 5:45 kickoff is when our next game is, and yeah, so the preview for that will probably be out on the Wednesday, most likely on the 27th. That's also Thanksgiving night, I believe, Thursday, which obviously I will be slightly participating in, despite being an Englishman, because my partner is on the other side of the world, over there in America. So there we are. Let me take a sip of my coffee because my throat is completely gone. But yeah, positive vibes today because it's another 3 points. We've got Heidenheim. Actually, what is our next Premier League game? I should check that as well. What is our next Premier League game? I think we have a pretty decent run of run of matches after Aston Villa. Yeah, okay. So we have Villa next after Heidenheim. Then we've got Southampton, which will be a pretty easy one. We've got Tottenham, which we usually are favoured in. Then we have Astana, Brentford, Shamrock Rovers, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves again, up until the 25th of January, when we face Man City. We've got a pretty good run. And if we can kind of get through this run of fixtures without any major hiccups, like we kind of saw under the Pochettino era. Pochettino? Has Saka scored? God damn. if we can get through that kind of run of games without having another massive fumble, um, mm, then we can hopefully stay in the upper echelons of the league. And I don't think, as again, I don't think we're gonna have a title charge or anything this season. It would be great if we did, but I don't think that's gonna be a thing we strive for. But to stay in third place, fourth place, that's good enough for me for this season. Get us the the Conference League, maybe another cup. That would be good. But yeah, who have you guys voted for in the poll? Is it Enzo? It seems to be Enzo. Yeah. Cool. That's who I personally would have chosen. So we'll end the poll. Is it actually going to show up? Hello, poll. Are the poll results going to show up? Because I've ended the poll. Wait. It usually puts it in chat, but it's not doing it. But Enzo had like 81%, so I'm going to be putting him up here. Enzo is our true blue today. Man of the match, player of the match, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, you guys will. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. I say evening; it's afternoon. It's dark outside, but it's 3:30 in the afternoon. And it's dark outside. I hate I hate this. Where's our day gone? It was dark like 3 hours ago. It's dark again. But yeah, you guys enjoy your afternoons / evenings. We'll look forward to. Oh, there's the poll. Well done. That's 3 minutes later. The poll has come out. Yeah, enjoy your evenings, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Again, I don't have the outro, so this is going to be a bit of an abrupt end here. But yeah, as always, keep the blue flag flying high. And yeah, we'll move on to Heidenheim. And again, next video will be out on Wednesday, most likely. Peace.